Assalamualaikum, a very good evening. My name is Shafizan Johari and you're watching Agenda AWANI. And tonight we are still talking about Gaza and the Palestinian question. And the continued bombardment into Gaza since last month has turned this tiny strip into a graveyard, especially for children, as half of its populations are 18 years and below. And the UN Secretary Antonio Guterres said, and I quote, "The nightmare in Gaza is more than a humanitarian crisis." As the death toll surpassed 10,000 lives, there's no sign of ceasefire and de-escalation. In fact, there's an increase of violence in the West Bank and the risk of war in Lebanon. As we thought all hope is diminishing, there is now a rise of global solidarity for Gaza and the Palestinian, the freedom of the Holy Land. People from all backgrounds, religions and creeds are shouting, "Free, free Palestine." And from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. It is not just in the Arabs and Muslim countries. You can see this in the Western and pro-Israel and Zionist ally countries such as the USA and the UK. And just about a week ago in Washington, D.C., it was reported the biggest pro-Palestinian rally in the American history. In London, just a few days ago, Brits from all backgrounds held the biggest pro-Palestinian protests in the British history. Humanity is standing up against atrocities. And in the next 30 minutes or so, we'll dive more into this. And I'm very glad that we have here in the studio Dr. Sharif Abu Shamala, the CEO of Al-Quds Foundation Malaysia, who will be joining us online. Assalamualaikum, Dr. Sharif.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh, and thank you for having me.
You're welcome. We're glad to have you here too. Dr. Sharif, can you tell us a bit the current situation in Gaza?
Actually, the humanitarian and the situation in Gaza is getting worse, especially with the Israeli war machine that invaded Gaza. And just a few hours, we received a very, very tragic news that Israeli troops that used to siege the Al-Shifa hospital, they invaded the Al-Shifa hospital and they broke into Al-Shifa hospital and they destroyed some parts and some wards of Al-Shifa hospital, which is back to 1946, which was built before the Israeli occupation and before Israel have been announced. So the situation is very difficult, and now we have around 1.1 million of the Palestinians became displaced, and they moved, a lot of them moved from northern part of Gaza to the southern part of Gaza and were subjected to the war machine and the airstrikes by Israeli troops and by the Israeli war jets. The bombardment is not stopped. Every minute there is a victims. The more or the most of the victims are women and children. The children around 50% of the victims, and the women around 30%. So the situation is very difficult, and the humanitarian crisis became bigger and bigger.
The bombardment and the attack, I don't know when it's going to stop. But at the same time, we want to talk about the solidarity, the global solidarity for the Palestinians happening now, not just in Malaysia, not just in the Muslim countries, but in Western and pro-Israeli countries. I mentioned earlier, in the US and in the UK, people from all creeds, from all backgrounds are going to the streets and flying the Palestinian flag and shouting for the freedom of the Holy Land. And what is your views about that?
I think the solidarity and the international solidarity is getting bigger and wider all over the world, and this one because the Israeli atrocities cannot be hidden, and the Israelis' methodology to genocide the Palestinian people and to practice ethnic cleansing against them is exposed by the social media. And this was a good opportunity for those people all over the world to know the reality on the ground, and how the Israeli occupation or the Zionist occupation did with the Palestinian people, how they targeting the hospitals, how they targeting the schools, how they targeting the mosques, how they targeting even the church. Everything in Gaza became an Israeli target, and without any mercy, without any complaint to the international humanitarian law, all these acts and the brutal acts by the Israeli occupation in front of the, or which the global media covered, the
Okay, now,
Israeli cannot cover more, so the people understand well what is the situation in Palestine and what is happening. And this also started to initiate questions in the minds of the people, especially in the Western countries, to ask why those Palestinians are targeted, why those Palestinians are fighting, why Israeli doing genocide against the Palestinian people. And when they understood the reality, they went to street to ask for the freedom for Palestine, as you said.
do you think that this is going to be the final rally and the final cry, and this would finally lead the way to the sustained and credible solution to the Palestinian crisis?
We hope this war to be the last war of the Israelis against the Palestinian people, and we hope that the peace to come to the Palestinian people, to the victims. And we don't like the war, we like peace. But I believe unless the US and these superpowers that feeding Israel and fueling the war machine of Israel, this will reduce the opportunities for peace in Palestine and in all over the world. But we should always remind ourselves these actions of solidarity, these actions of a protest against the Israelis' atrocities and the Israelis' crimes are very important in reducing the attack, in changing the political decisions, and we try to minimize the losses of the lives of the Palestinian people. As you know, the US government and the Britain and other Western government, they gave Israel a green light to commit the ethnic cleansing and genocide and carnage against the Palestinian people. And we believe that when they receive the protest from their people against this green light and this unconditional support to the Israelis and to the war machine of Israel, they will reduce their support to Israel. At least this will save some lives of our Palestinian people.
How would this, the incident and the global outcry and the solidarity that we could see here globally can be a good platform, a positive platform to inculcate awareness of the Palestinian cause, the history of Palestinians, and Palestinians as a whole?
Yes, I agree with you, and I believe when the people read and know and understand what the historical backgrounds of the Palestinian issue and how those Palestinian people were forced 75 years ago to leave their country, to leave their villages, to leave their towns after they have been massacred, after they forced to leave, uprooted from their land. For example, I am one of the grandsons of refugees, of 1948 refugees. And when someone asks about the Palestinian cause, I start to tell him my story. Then when he understands, he will directly become supporter for the Palestinian issue. So it is important to highlight that Israel has a ministry for propaganda and have special authorities for propaganda. They called Haspara, means how to spread the news, the fake news, and how to manipulate the facts in the Palestinian struggle against the Israeli occupation. And just I read the news early morning that the finance minister of Israel, Smotrich, he announced he will no longer fund the Israeli media campaign for against the Palestinian people, not because he understood the lesson, no, because the shortage of financial that Israel is facing nowadays due to the war. This means Israel pay a lot to change and to fabricate the story and the history of the Palestinian people and their struggle against the occupation. So Israel believes that the knowledge is its enemy. The first enemy is the knowledge. When the people know everything and when people understand the Palestinian issue, all of them will turn to support the Palestinian issue, the Palestinian cause, and will call Israel to end its occupation and to give the Palestinian people their right that they have been denied since 75 years.
Now, going against propaganda, a very well-funded propaganda machine, is a very difficult task. Do you think with the current support, the current global support that Palestinians received today, this can be outmaneuvered?
Yes, I think the support the Palestinians receive can defeat the Israeli fabrication and can defeat the Israeli false narrative against the Palestinian people. I think it is simple. The first step to educate ourselves. When we educate ourselves about the Palestinian people, we can be a good messengers and good ambassadors for the Palestinian cause. Number two, everyone can do a lot in his own capacity, especially in social media. Even there is now a lot of restrictions against the Palestinian content in social media, but we still have a space, we still have room, we still have alternatives, ways to convey the Palestinian message and the Palestinian narrative. And one more thing is important in this battle, that the facts and the Palestinian true story by itself, it doesn't need a lot of false and a lot of work to spread. No, because it is the facts and it is the truth. So you can provide and you can show people the real case, supported by facts, supported by laws, supported by all history. And as we know now, during this time, a lot of archives are open sources, and all these archives, if we go to these websites and these archives, we can find a lot about the Palestinian cause and about the history of Palestine, how Palestine was a civil area, how Palestine used to be full of Palestinian people, and how they used to live, and Palestine was not empty country like Israeli propaganda used to spread and to promote. So all means support the Palestinian narrative, but we just want to spread this narrative and be brave enough to take this narrative and this story and this struggle to our platforms, to others, to share this information with our friends, our relatives, our circles. This is, I think, can be effective.
A lot of response from the public, when there's attack to Palestinians, either in the West Bank or in Gaza, the Muslims especially, and the rest of the global humanity, they would boycott pro-Israeli, pro-Zionist corporation and companies who funded and gives money and supported the Israeli regime. Now, how this actually work? Because sometimes it is kind of short-lived. What is your view on that?
I think boycott is one of the important methods and important ways to punish Israel and to punish those countries that support Israel, because they take the tax and they take the benefits and the profits from these companies and these franchise, and fuel the Israeli war machine against the babies, against the children, against the women, against the civilians in Palestine, and against everyone in Palestine are affected by the unconditional support of the Western countries, especially number one, America, to Israel. And actually, the one who give Israel the financial aid and military aid, the most and number one in the list is US. And US get these monies from the taxes that these companies, we consume its products. They give the money to the Israelis to kill us. So when we boycott, number one, we deliver a moral message to these companies and to these governments and to these countries that we have our own decision. We cannot support you to kill our brothers, Palestinian brothers in Gaza, in Palestine, in West Bank, and everywhere. We cannot support you to control the lives of the Palestinian people. So number one, it is a moral action by those who support and pro-Palestine activists. Number two, it is effective way to punish and to stop or to reduce at least the unconditional fund for Israel by these countries. So I salute all NGOs, all individuals, all governments, all companies that boycott these bodies or these companies or these firms that used to support Israel, or our payment to these companies can be channeled as tax to the governments that kill our brothers. One more thing I just remembered. When we, as individuals and NGOs, boycott these goods, we give another chance. We give a chance for our local economy to grow up, to be bigger, to enhance our manufacturing, and to not be subjected by these companies in the coming days. Because if there is a political differences, maybe they don't supply us or they withdraw from our countries. So this is a very, very good initiative. We support this initiative. We call upon all those who love humanity to boycott Israel and to boycott these companies support Israel.
Yeah, well, you said the USA, the American government, is the biggest supporter, the biggest donor to the Israelis and the Israeli government. Now, in the context of Washington, D.C., how difficult, or even is it possible to stand up against pro-Zionist lobbies?
I think most of American governments consider themselves soldiers in the Israeli entity and the Zionist entity. This is a fact we cannot deny. But all methods and all protests, all practice, the activist and the free world that can provide to reduce or to change the decision or reduce the unconditional support to Israel is welcome and can do a lot. We don't expect from US to turn 180 degree support the Palestinian right. No, they will not support the Palestinian right and to stand against Israel. No, because America is a colonial power. America needs a military base in the Middle East or in West Asia. And Israel is the military base against the Arab and the Muslim countries in the region. So we don't expect that US will stop supporting Israel, but we expect the people of America and those who love peace, who love humanity, will confront the unconditional and support of America to the Israeli entity against the Palestinian people.
Dr. Sharif, we have 2 minutes left, and this is a final question. What do you expect from Malaysians and the Malaysian government moving forward?
Actually, I'm here, want to thank the government of Malaysia for its initiative to collect donation and its political stand with Palestine, with the Gaza, and also would to extend the thanks to the Malaysian people. And actually, we expect more and more from our brothers here in Malaysia. Malaysia is leading country in the region, and they can take a bigger role in stopping the war against Gaza. We call for ceasefire, and we hope the Malaysian government to lead initiative to declare Gaza no-fly zone, to stop the Israeli war jets attacking the civilians, attacking the children in Gaza. This would be a very, very important intervention by Malaysia, and this will reflect the good and real situation of Malaysian with the Palestinian people, and a real stand with the Palestinian people, and will protect the children and the women and the civilians of the Palestinian people. The Palestinians in Gaza yesterday received the Malaysian aid from Rafah border, but we expect more by stopping the Israeli war against the Palestinian people.
Dr. Sharif, thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate this conversation. We'll continue rallying behind the Palestinian and supporting the Palestinian cause until the Palestinians and the Holy Land is finally free. Thank you so much, Dr. Sharif Abu Shamala, the CEO of Al-Quds Foundation Malaysia. We're talking about the global solidarity for the Palestinian and the Palestine cause here in Agenda AWANI. Thank you so much for your time, and I see you again in the next episode.